welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be diving into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Oh yeah, the book that kind of claims to hold the secrets to success.
Right. Like spent 20 years interviewing big names like Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah, talk about dedication.
I know.
It's interesting because Carnegie himself actually tasked Hill with this project.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he wanted someone to kind of decode what made these titans of industry tick, and Hill took it seriously, interviewing folks like Henry Ford and Thomas Edison.
Okay, so we've got a book born from decades of real-world success stories. But here's the thing. While the title screams money, it's not just about getting rich.
Right.
Hill goes way deeper, exploring personal development, mindset, the power of thought.
Exactly. And one of the first principles Hill lays out is the importance of a burning desire.
Okay.
He argues it's the foundation of any achievement.
So it's not just about wanting something. It's about that intense, can't stop, won't stop kind of desire.
Right. Hill tells the story about Edwin Barnes, who was dead set on working with Edison, not just for him. Barnes visualized himself as Edison's business partner. And eventually it happened.
So it's like having that laser focus on your goal. But what about those times when we're not even sure what our burning desire is?
Yeah.
How do we tap into that kind of drive?
That's a great question. Hill seems to suggest that sometimes a burning desire can be sparked by exposure to new ideas, by surrounding ourselves with the right people, or even by facing challenges that force us to dig deep and discover what we're truly capable of.
So it might not always be a lightning bolt moment,
right,
but more of a slow burn.
Exactly.
Hill also uses an example from his own life, a story about a little girl who managed to win over his tough uncle.
Oh, yeah. That's a good example because it illustrates that a burning desire isn't just about, grand ambitions. It can apply to any area of life. It's about harnessing that internal drive to achieve something, whether it's changing the world or changing someone's perception of you.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote, "The world steps aside for the man who knows where he is going." But, okay, so you've got this burning desire. Now what?
Yeah.
Hill emphasizes the importance of definiteness of purpose.
He says it's not enough to just want something. You need to know exactly what you want. Think of it like a roadmap. A burning desire is the fuel, but you need a clear destination in mind to make any real progress.
That makes sense. So what kind of examples does Hill use to illustrate this?
Well,
I know he talks about Marshall Field and Henry Ford.
Yes. Field, after the Great Chicago Fire, declared he would rebuild his store even bigger and better. And Ford, despite his engineers claiming it was impossible, insisted on developing a V8 engine. Both of these men had a crystal-clear vision of what they wanted to achieve and refused to let obstacles deter them.
It's like the saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. But what strikes me is how much of a role did belief play in their success? It seems like having that rock-solid faith in their vision was crucial.
Absolutely. Hill actually dedicates a whole chapter to the power of belief or faith.
Really?
He emphasizes that it's not about blind faith, but rather an unshakable confidence in yourself and your ability to achieve what you set out to do.
So we're talking about that I can do this attitude.
Yeah.
That inner knowing that you'll find a way, even when things get tough.
Exactly. Hill goes so far as to say that belief can even shape reality. He shares this incredibly personal story about his son, who was born deaf. Hill instilled in him the belief that he could hear and speak, and eventually his son overcame that perceived limitation.
Wow, that's a powerful example of how our minds can influence our physical well-being.
Yeah.
It speaks to the idea that if we truly believe something is possible, it increases our chances of making it happen. But how do we cultivate that kind of belief, especially when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles?
This is where Hill introduces the concept of autosuggestion. It's essentially the practice of repeatedly affirming your beliefs until they become ingrained in your subconscious mind.
So it's about rewiring our thinking patterns, but it's more than just positive thinking, right?
Right.
How do we know if we're doing it right? What if our internal critic keeps getting in the way?
Hill argues that it takes consistent effort and a deep understanding of how our minds work. He even shares a story about a critically ill patient who defied medical odds by refusing to accept the possibility of death. This man's unwavering desire to live, coupled with his belief in his ability to recover, ultimately led to a miraculous recovery.
So it's about intentionally choosing our thoughts and beliefs, recognizing that they have a tangible impact on our lives. But let's be honest, sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
We all have those moments of self-doubt.
Sure. But Hill reminds us that doubt and fear are often based on illusions, on imagined threats that may never materialize. He encourages us to identify our fears and confront them head on.
So it's about acknowledging those fears, but not letting them control us.
Exactly.
And this is where the importance of specialized knowledge comes into play, right?
Precisely. Hill emphasizes that knowledge is only potential power. It needs to be organized and directed toward a specific goal to be truly effective.
Okay.
He provides a couple of compelling examples to illustrate this point. He talks about Stuart Austin Weir, a lawyer who realized he needed to deepen his understanding of law, and an unemployed salesman who leveraged his bookkeeping skills to start a successful business.
So it's not just about accumulating knowledge. It's about acquiring the right knowledge and then applying it strategically. It's about connecting the dots between what you know and what you want to achieve. But what about those of us who might feel like we lack the necessary knowledge or skills? How do we bridge that gap?
Hill argues that anyone can acquire the knowledge they need. He emphasizes the importance of continuous learning, seeking out mentors, and being willing to step outside our comfort zones.
That's interesting. It's almost like he's suggesting that a lack of knowledge shouldn't be an excuse for inaction. It's about being resourceful and proactive in seeking out the information and skills we need to move forward.
Exactly. Hill even goes so far as to say that sometimes the process of acquiring specialized knowledge can actually spark our burning desire, revealing to us a path we hadn't even considered before.
I like that. So it's a cycle, right? Desire fuels the pursuit of knowledge, and knowledge can, in turn, ignite new desires.
Absolutely.
But once we have that knowledge, how do we use it effectively?
That's where Hill introduces the power of imagination.
Okay.
He distinguishes between two forms, synthetic and creative.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference?
The synthetic imagination involves rearranging existing ideas, while the creative imagination is about generating entirely new ones. Hill argues that both are essential for achieving success.
So it's about combining what we already know with the ability to envision new possibilities. It's about seeing beyond the obvious and conceiving of solutions that might not yet exist.
Exactly. Hill even uses this fascinating anecdote about the enchanted kettle. This story is about a secret formula purchased for a mere $500 that was then transformed into a highly profitable business venture.
Wait, what was so special about the kettle?
It wasn't about the kettle itself, but the formula, the intangible asset. This story highlights that sometimes the true value lies in the idea, the concept, the intellectual property. It's about seeing beyond the physical product and recognizing the hidden potential.
So it's about thinking outside the box, about recognizing that the most valuable assets aren't always tangible. It reminds me of that saying, the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. But okay, we've got the desire, the purpose, the belief, the knowledge, and the imagination. What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Hill emphasizes the importance of organized planning. He stresses that achieving significant goals requires detailed planning, not just dreaming.
So it's about taking those inspired ideas and translating them into actionable steps. It's about creating a roadmap to guide our actions.
Exactly. And Hill provides a compelling story about Dr. Gonzalez, who needed $1 million to build a new college. He got the funds by delivering a passionate sermon outlining exactly what he would do with the money. This story shows that when you have a clear plan, it's easier to attract resources and support.
So it's about communicating your vision effectively, demonstrating that you've thought through the details and are serious about making it happen. But what about those of us who aren't natural planners?
Right.
How do we get started?
Hill emphasizes the importance of breaking down large goals into smaller, more manageable steps. He also suggests seeking feedback and collaboration in the planning process.
So it's about leveraging the collective wisdom and experience of others. And this brings us to the mastermind principle, right?
Absolutely. Hill defines the mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort between two or more individuals working towards a common goal.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this.
Think of it like this. Individually, we are like single batteries. But when we connect with others who share our vision and values, we create a much more powerful energy source.
I like that analogy. It's about harnessing the power of synergy, where the combined effort is greater than the sum of its parts. So how does this play out in the real world? Who are some examples of people who've used the mastermind principle effectively?
Hill points to Henry Ford as a prime example. Ford surrounded himself with brilliant minds like Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, and Luther Burbank. These close associations undoubtedly contributed to his phenomenal success.
It's fascinating to think about how those relationships shaped his thinking and his approach to business.
Yeah.
So it's about being intentional about who we surround ourselves with, seeking out individuals who can challenge us, inspire us, and support us on our journey.
Precisely. But Hill also acknowledges that there are obstacles that can hinder our progress. He dedicates a significant portion of the book to exploring the 6 basic fears that can hold us back.
Okay, let's dive into that. What are these fears, and how do they impact our ability to achieve success?
He lists them as the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. These fears, when left unchecked, can paralyze us, preventing us from taking the necessary actions to achieve our goals.
So they're like invisible barriers that hold us back from reaching our full potential.
Exactly.
But how do these fears manifest in our daily lives? What are some examples of how they might sabotage our efforts?
To illustrate the power of fear, Hill describes an experiment where individuals were made to feel physically ill simply through suggestion. It highlights the profound influence our minds can have on our physical well-being. He also shares a story about a man facing execution who found peace by accepting his fate, showing that we have the power to choose our response to fear.
It seems like fear can be a powerful force, but it's not always based in reality. It's often rooted in our perceptions and beliefs. So how do we move past those fears and start making progress towards our goals?
Hill argues that the first step is acknowledging those fears, bringing them out into the open. He encourages us to identify which of these 6 basic fears are holding us back and then develop strategies to overcome them.
So it's about taking ownership of our fears, recognizing that they don't have to control us.
Exactly. And that's a good place to stop for now. We'll pick up on this in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so last time we were talking about those 6 basic fears that Hill outlines in Think and Grow Rich. It's like he's saying we need to face our fears head on if we want to achieve success. But it's easier said than done, right?
It definitely takes conscious effort. Think of it like this. Each of those fears represents a potential roadblock on our path to success. Fear of poverty might keep us from taking financial risks. Fear of criticism might stifle our creativity, and so on.
So it's about recognizing how these fears can manifest in our lives and then developing strategies to, counteract them.
Right.
For example, if fear of criticism is holding you back from sharing your ideas, maybe you start by practicing vulnerability with trusted friends or colleagues.
Exactly. It's about taking small steps to build confidence and resilience. Hill actually suggests replacing fear with faith and courage. He uses that anecdote about the man facing electrocution who found peace through acceptance.
That story always gets me. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes our perception of reality is more daunting than reality itself, and it highlights the power of choosing our mindset.
Absolutely. And once we start to overcome those basic fears, we can begin to tap into our full potential. Hill then goes on to discuss the importance of the subconscious mind.
Okay, so we're getting into the deeper workings of the mind now. What does Hill say about the subconscious?
He describes it as this incredibly powerful force that operates beneath our conscious awareness. He suggests that it's like a fertile garden where we can plant the seeds of our desires and beliefs.
That's a great analogy. But how do we actually access and influence our subconscious mind?
Hill argues that autosuggestion is the key. It's about repeatedly affirming our beliefs and desires until they become ingrained in our subconscious. He emphasizes the importance of using clear, concise statements and visualizing ourselves already achieving our goals.
So it's almost like reprogramming our thinking patterns, but I've heard some people say that positive affirmations don't really work. What's Hill's take on that?
He acknowledges that it's not just about repeating empty phrases. It requires genuine belief and a deep understanding of how the subconscious mind works. He emphasizes the importance of repetition and consistency, arguing that we need to repeatedly expose our subconscious to the ideas and beliefs we want to cultivate.
So it's about making it a habit, like anything else we want to master. It reminds me of that saying, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. But how do we know if we're doing it right? What are some signs that our auto-suggestions are actually working?
Hill suggests paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions. He says that as our subconscious mind begins to align with our desired beliefs, we'll start to see shifts in our behavior and our overall outlook on life.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about feeling those positive emotions and then taking action aligned with those beliefs. It's about creating a feedback loop that reinforces our desired outcomes.
Exactly. And once we start to tap into the power of the subconscious mind, we can begin to leverage other principles that Hill outlines in the book. such as the mastermind principle, which we touched on earlier.
Yeah, that concept really intrigues me. It's like Hill is saying that we can achieve far more when we collaborate with others who share our vision and values. But how do we actually put that into practice? How do we go about finding and connecting with the right people for our mastermind group?
He emphasizes the importance of being selective about who we invite into our inner circle. He suggests seeking out individuals who possess qualities that complement our own, who inspire us to think bigger and bolder, and who hold us accountable to our goals.
So it's about surrounding ourselves with people who challenge us to grow and who support us on our journey. But wouldn't that take a lot of work and effort to find the right people and maintain those relationships?
It definitely requires effort, but Hill argues that it's an investment that pays off in spades. He uses the example of Henry Ford, who benefited immensely from his close relationships with individuals like Thomas Edison and Harvey Firestone. These connections provided him with access to knowledge, resources, and support that he wouldn't have had otherwise.
It's amazing to think about how those relationships shaped Ford's vision and helped him achieve such incredible success. So it's not just about networking or making casual connections. It's about building genuine supportive relationships with people who share our values and who can contribute to our growth.
Exactly. And it's also about recognizing the value of diversity. Hill suggests that a well-rounded mastermind group should include individuals from different backgrounds, industries, and perspectives.
That makes sense. It's about bringing together a variety of skills and viewpoints to create a more holistic and dynamic approach to problem solving. But what about those of us who might be introverted or who struggle with social anxiety? Is it still possible to benefit from the mastermind principle?
Absolutely. Hill emphasizes that the mastermind principle can be applied in various ways. It doesn't necessarily require large gatherings or formal meetings. It can be as simple as having a trusted mentor or a close friend who we can bounce ideas off of and who can provide us with support and encouragement.
So it's about finding what works best for us, adapting the principle to fit our individual needs and personalities. It reminds me of that saying, the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. But even with a supportive mastermind group, there are still going to be challenges and setbacks along the way, right?
Yeah, of course. Hill acknowledges that the path to success is rarely a straight line. He emphasizes the importance of persistence, resilience, and the willingness to learn from our mistakes.
So it's about having that grit, that determination to keep going even when things get tough. But what about those times when we feel like giving up? How do we stay motivated and focused on our goals?
Hill suggests revisiting our burning desire, reminding ourselves why we set out on this journey in the first place. He also emphasizes the importance of celebrating our successes along the way, no matter how small they may seem.
So it's about acknowledging our progress, giving ourselves credit for the steps we've taken, and using those small wins to fuel our motivation. But what about the role of luck? Does Hill believe that luck plays a role in success?
He doesn't dismiss the idea of luck entirely, but he argues that we can create our own luck by preparing ourselves for opportunities and by being open to new possibilities.
So it's about putting ourselves in the right place at the right time and being ready to seize those moments when they arise. It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. But okay, we've talked about desire, purpose, belief, knowledge, imagination, planning, the subconscious mind, and the mastermind principle. What else does Hill cover in Think and Grow Rich?
He delves into the importance of sex transmutation, which might raise some eyebrows.
Okay, let's tread carefully here.
Yeah?
This is a sensitive topic, and we want to be respectful of our listeners.
Absolutely. It's important to note that Hill's views on this topic are rooted in the social norms of his time, and some of his language might be considered outdated or even offensive by today's standards. However, if we look beyond the surface, what he's essentially talking about is harnessing the power of creative energy.
So it's about channeling that raw, primal energy into something productive, something that fuels our creativity and drives us towards our goals.
Exactly. And Hill provides examples of individuals who've done this successfully, transforming their sexual energy into artistic expression, entrepreneurial endeavors, or even philanthropic pursuits.
It's interesting to consider how that energy can be redirected and used for positive purposes. But it's also important to remember that everyone has their own beliefs and values, and we should respect those differences.
Absolutely. And it's crucial to approach this topic with sensitivity and understanding. Hill also talks about the importance of maintaining a positive mental attitude, guarding against negative thoughts and emotions.
So it's about cultivating a mindset of optimism and resilience, focusing on the good even when faced with challenges. But how do we maintain a positive mental attitude when things aren't going our way? How do we deal with setbacks and disappointments?
Hill suggests practicing gratitude, focusing on the things we're thankful for, and reminding ourselves of our past successes. He also emphasizes the importance of surrounding ourselves with positive influences and avoiding negative people and environments.
So it's about creating a supportive and uplifting ecosystem for ourselves, both internally and externally.
Exactly. And finally, Hill wraps up the book by discussing the importance of cosmic habit force, which is essentially the idea that there's a universal intelligence that we can tap into.
Okay, this is where things start to get a little mystical, right?
Yes, it delves into the realm of spirituality and the interconnectedness of all things. Hill suggests that by aligning ourselves with this universal intelligence, we can access a source of infinite wisdom and power.
So it's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves, something that transcends our individual limitations.
Exactly. And Hill believes that this connection can provide us with guidance, inspiration, and the strength to overcome any obstacle.
It's a powerful concept to consider, but it's also important to note that not everyone resonates with these ideas. Some people might find them too abstract or esoteric.
That's understandable. And ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide what resonates with them and what they choose to believe.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from burning desire to the subconscious mind to the mastermind principle and even cosmic habit force. Think and Grow Rich is packed with insights and ideas. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what are your key takeaways from the book so far? What has resonated with you the most?
For me, it's the emphasis on the power of belief. Hill's unwavering conviction that our thoughts can shape our reality is both inspiring and challenging. It reminds me that we have far more control over our lives than we often realize.
I agree. That idea of self-mastery, of taking ownership of our thoughts and beliefs, is incredibly empowering. It's like he's saying that we are the architects of our own destinies, and it's a reminder that we can choose to focus on fear and limitations, or we can choose to embrace possibility and growth.
Exactly. And for me, it's also the emphasis on taking action. Hill doesn't just encourage positive thinking, he emphasizes the importance of translating those thoughts into concrete steps. He reminds us that even the most ambitious goals can be achieved if we break them down into manageable actions and then consistently take those actions day after day.
I like that. It's about combining vision with action, about dreaming big, but also being willing to roll up our sleeves and do the work. And it's a reminder that success is rarely achieved overnight. It's a journey, a process of continuous learning, growth, and refinement.
Absolutely. And it's a journey that we don't have to take alone. Hill's emphasis on the mastermind principle reminds us that we can achieve far more when we surround ourselves with the right people, individuals who inspire us, support us, and challenge us to become the best versions of ourselves.
So it's about building a supportive and empowering community, a network of individuals who share our vision and who can contribute to our collective success. And it's about recognizing that we all have something unique to offer, and that by combining our strengths, we can create something truly remarkable.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for a break. We'll continue our deep dive into Think and Grow Rich in the next part of our discussion.
All right, we're back, and I'm still thinking about that whole mastermind concept. It's like Hill is saying, want to go fast, go alone. Want to go far, go together.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it makes me think about how we often view success as this, like individual pursuit. But Hill's challenging that notion, suggesting that collaboration and synergy are essential ingredients.
Yeah, it's like that African proverb, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it's not just about finding people who are smarter or more successful than us. It's about finding people who complement our strengths and weaknesses, who challenge us to grow, and who hold us accountable to our goals.
Exactly. And it's about creating a space where everyone feels safe to share their ideas, their vulnerabilities, and their aspirations. Hill even emphasizes the importance of harmony within the mastermind group, suggesting that conflicts and disagreements should be addressed constructively and with a focus on finding solutions that benefit everyone involved.
Yeah, it's like building a team, but not just any team, a team that's aligned on a deeper level, a team that's driven by a shared purpose and a collective vision. But, okay, let's shift gears a bit. We talked earlier about Hill's concept of sex transmutation. I know this could be a tricky topic, so let's approach it with sensitivity and an open mind.
Absolutely. And it's important to acknowledge that Hill's views on this topic are rooted in the social norms of his time, and some of his language might feel outdated or even offensive by today's standards. However, I think it's valuable to look beyond the surface and try to understand what he's getting at.
So what's the core idea behind sex transmutation?
Essentially, he's talking about channeling sexual energy into other creative pursuits. He argues that this energy is a powerful force that can be harnessed and redirected to fuel our ambitions and drive us towards our goals.
So it's like taking that raw, primal energy and transforming it into something productive, something that contributes to our growth and development.
Exactly. And Hill provides examples of individuals throughout history who've done this successfully, channeling their sexual energy into artistic expression, entrepreneurial endeavors, or even philanthropic pursuits.
So it's not about suppressing or denying our sexuality. It's about recognizing its power and finding healthy and constructive ways to express it. It's about understanding that energy is neither good nor bad. It's all about how we choose to channel it.
I think that's a key point. And it's important to remember that everyone has their own beliefs and values around sexuality, and we should respect those differences.
Absolutely. But okay, moving on from that potentially controversial topic, Hill also talks a lot about maintaining a positive mental attitude. What's his take on that?
Yeah, he emphasizes the importance of guarding against negative thoughts and emotions, arguing that they can drain our energy and sabotage our efforts. He suggests practicing gratitude, focusing on the good even when faced with challenges, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences.
So it's about creating a mental environment that's conducive to growth and success. But it's not about ignoring our problems or pretending that everything is perfect, right?
Of course not. Hill acknowledges that challenges are inevitable, but he suggests that we can choose how we respond to those challenges. We can let them defeat us, or we can use them as opportunities for learning and growth.
It's about developing that resilience, that ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward. But what about those times when we feel overwhelmed or discouraged? What are some practical tips for staying positive when things aren't going our way?
Well, Hill suggests keeping a gratitude journal, writing down the things we're thankful for each day. He also recommends surrounding ourselves with positive people and avoiding negative influences. And he emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical health, arguing that our mental and emotional well-being are closely linked to our physical health.
So it's about taking a holistic approach to self-care, nourishing our minds, bodies, and spirits. But what about the role of spirituality in all of this? Hill does mention the concept of cosmic habit force. What's that all about?
Yeah, this is where things get a little bit more mystical. Hill describes cosmic habit force as a universal intelligence that we can tap into, a source of infinite wisdom and power that can guide us and support us on our journey.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but also a bit skeptical. How do we actually connect with this cosmic habit force? Is it like meditation or prayer?
He doesn't provide a specific method, but he suggests that it's about aligning ourselves with the principles of truth, justice, and love. He argues that when we live in harmony with these principles, we naturally tap into a higher power that can guide us and empower us.
So it's about living with integrity and purpose, acting in accordance with our values, and contributing to the greater good.
Exactly. And while this concept might not resonate with everyone, I think it's a powerful reminder that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and understanding that our actions have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate sphere of influence. Okay, so we've explored a wide range of concepts from Think and Grow Rich, from the practical to the profound. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what are your final thoughts on the book? What message do you think Hill was trying to convey?
I think Hill was trying to empower people to take control of their lives and achieve their dreams. He believed that success is not reserved for a select few, but rather it's attainable for anyone who's willing to put in the effort and follow the principles he outlines.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he was also trying to challenge us to think differently about success, to see it not just as a destination, but as a journey of continuous learning, growth, and contribution.
Absolutely. And I think he was trying to inspire us to tap into our full potential, to believe in ourselves, and to never give up on our dreams.
Well said. So as we conclude this deep dive into Think and Grow Rich, I encourage you to reflect on the principles we've discussed and consider how you can apply them to your own life. What are your burning desires? What are your goals? And what steps can you take today to start moving towards them?
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, support you, and challenge you to grow. Tap into the power of your subconscious mind, cultivate a positive mental attitude, and believe in your ability to achieve anything you set your mind to.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.